welcome to Open Mic. We are coming right off the heels of Flow, so we do not have an agenda. We'll probably just leave it open once I'm done talking for others to chat and ask questions. A reminder, this is a technical call, though if you are a business person, feel free to listen and learn to see what other people are using the product for. If you're a technical person, feel free to R&D or rob and duplicate ideas that you hear from your MSP peers. It's sad because I don't get to remind people about Flow, so I don't have that announcement anymore. Don't forget, let me see, Kelvin, how many MSPs have been successful with automation and never asked a question?
Actually, that list right here. I went around everyone at Flow, asked them this question. You know what the answer was?
What?
0.
Exactly correct. 0 MSPs have succeeded at automation without asking questions. So if you run into a problem, don't know where to start, hit up the public Discord like the Coop and your peers can help you, or hit us up in your private Discord if maybe you're working on a workflow and you have a technical question and our Rock can jump in and help you. All right, let's party. I did a keynote and announced some new functionality with the platform. I'm going to do almost the entire keynote. I may skip some slides. It may only take 15, 20 minutes because I'm skipping slides. But I'm going to go ahead and attempt to share some content here. Let me see if I can find, there we go. I think this is it. Let's just go ahead and get going. One moment. I'm also going to turn off my camera. All right, can folks see the slides?
Sure can.
Yep.
All right. For those of you that went to Flow, this is a repeat. So act like you never saw this before and excited. Hey, since the last time we did Flow, Rewst has run over 8 billion tasks, averaging 259 per second. For those of you putting time savings in, we've saved 9 million hours since Flow. What's pretty cool is for every second Rewst is running, you folks are saving on average across the board 17 minutes. We have new features coming. You guys are making automations. In fact, in any given hour, 100 automations are either created or edited on the platform. What I talked about at Flow was that automation is not AI and AI is not automation. And it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It just means that they're different. And I think it's important that we recognize that difference. And I know a lot of you on this call realize it's different, but I can tell you that you run into people every day in the MSP community who don't. And so this gives you some ammo to use to have those conversations with them. Because I worry that there's MSPs purchasing AI products thinking that they can automate and purchase automation products thinking they're getting AI. And so it's important that we differentiate between the two. And I was, by the way, just completely off track. I was testing an AI tool that was supposedly for the MSP market. And I asked it, oh, okay, an AI tool for the MSP market. I asked it to open a ticket for me. And it said it did not have access to my PSA, but it could tell me how to do it. And that's the big difference between AI and automation. So what is automation? Automation is a rule-based system that can interact with the world, and it focuses on speed and reliability. AI is software trained to think like a human, create things like a human, and solve problems like a human. So you'll see that automation focuses on speed and reliability, and AI focuses on problem solving and creating like a person. These are completely different things. The animations aren't going to work, but pretend they are animating. A good way when you're talking to MSPs or your peers that don't know the difference, I always like to default back to physical robots, because there's just something about physical robots that everyone understands. Like even as like a kid, you understand how a physical robot works. Whenever we start talking about software robots, though, it's like we have a mini stroke and we completely forget how physical robots work. Right. So physical robots are always programmed by, someone. They're pre-programmed to fix and do things, but they can't learn or adapt because they're just physical automation robots. That doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that they're different than AI-powered robots. Just like I would much rather have a bunch of automation robots handling these boxes and hire 100 people to handle these boxes. In 2022, though, we saw AI start to creep in to our physical automation robots. And Tesla was like one of the first with their Optimus. And I was really, really hopeful that this was not AI because the robot was very awkward in its movements. And it looked very much like it had rules to walk on stage and wave. We're looking at even 2022, when that robot came out, there was hardly any investment in AI and physical robots. But we expect by 2030, that's going to 10x to over 17 billion. And I'm just going to fly through these because I'm tired, but you can see the difference here between automation and intelligent, right? Automation, pre-programmed, executes blindly, follows instructions exactly, doesn't need a task trace because it was programmed to do what it does. And an intelligence robot learns, asks for context, can improve its own execution over time, but it has to generate summaries because you don't know why it did what it did. Tesla in 2024 got the robot dancing, and they did it by putting the AI in it. And it was pretty cool. They trained the AI in a virtual environment with a virtual body. And the very first time they loaded the software in the physical body, they told it to dance, and it danced. First time, didn't fall over. We have other types of robots that are now watching us and learning how we work, called cobots, and offer help. Because like I said, we intuitively know that someone had to program a robot to do something. But when it comes to our software robots, not you folks, but potentially MSPs that you interact with every day, they expect software robots to automate things without anyone telling them what to do. unlike physical robots. You see, you have to solve the problem to then tell the robot what to do. And there's two ways you can solve a problem. You can have a person solve the problem and go tell the software robot, or you can use software designed to think like a human to solve problems and tell the software robot what to do. And so that software is what we've been talking about. That's AI. And so what happens if we drop an AI into an automation platform? We move from intelligent workflows to an intelligent platform. And now I get into my videos and hopefully they play for you folks. I would say at the end, I've got a slide with the dates in which Daniel with an A has sworn that it will be available, right, Pizza?
Of course, I'm all for having Daniel meet those deadlines.
All right.
Someone has to deliver. So yeah, I'm good with delivering next week if we want to release it then.
Dang, Daniel, I didn't know you were that far on coding it. Wow.
All right, this is automated documentation. Let's see if it'll play. Here we go. You'll see now in the notes section, we have a new RoboRewsty generate documentation. RoboRewsty interacted with its robot overlords and created all these different phases and put documentation squares around the phases and then documented them. In a moment, I'll let it zoom in. And it's not about, just one feature makes your system an intelligent platform. It's a collection of features. So by itself, this isn't as exciting, but once we wrap it all together, it starts to make sense. The next piece is you can now ask questions and get answers using a new agent-like interface with RoboRewsty. And this agent interface is contextually aware of what you're doing and where you are in the platform. So we're in a workflow here. If you were on a different page doing something else, you could ask something about that page, and RoboRewsty should have the data to respond accurately and help you. On this video, we're just asking it, hey, I was thinking I want this workflow to kick off and a ticket in Halo gets updated. What triggers are available for us? And RoboRewsty is searching the documentation to try to figure that out for us. And it comes back here with our 4 trigger types. Then it helps you set up a trigger in Halo for it. And then it also provides the sources of what it used to come up with the output. And you can go ahead and drill into the sources if you need. The next thing is you should be able to analyze failed workflows and get suggested fixes via AI. So we've got a workflow here. Oops, we had a workflow. Done. I'm gonna go ahead and test it. And if you look at the top left, you'll see that it fails. We'll go ahead and go to our results page. You'll see a new RoboRewsty icon. You select it, and RoboRewsty starts talking to his robot agents to figure out what the heck's going on. And you get this report that tells you why your workflow failed. And this one failed because a task transition criteria was set to 2, and it should have been set to 1. We've all done that before, and this helps you see that. It should help you troubleshoot your workflows much, much easier. And then finally, you should be able to build a workflow from a human language prompt. I think the funny thing is someone posted in the coop, like literally the Friday before a flow to say, you can't vibe code in Roost, prove me wrong or something. And it almost seemed like a plant, like someone had gotten early access to our presentation. Was it anyone on this call? No? I can't see the chat, by the way. The other thing, a reminder of vibe coding. Vibe coding doesn't eliminate the need to, type into a prompt. Doesn't eliminate the need to troubleshoot your code. Here's an example. Like you could theoretically vibe code your way into a PSA, but everyone still uses Halo, right? But I do see vibe coding as a way to speed up developing workflows, to get you your initial set of actions. Hopefully they run on the first time, and also helps you teach you the format and problem solving to get a workflow running from scratch. So I got a workflow here. I'm sure you folks can read the prompt on the screen, but I'll read some of it for you. I have an issue where my accounting department spends a week every quarter reconciling the user count in M365 to the user count in Halo on invoices. Is there a way we can automate this? I want to know about the ones where they are mismatched. If there's a greater than 5% change, either up or down, then create a ticket for that company, else just change it. We currently store user count in the invoice itself, so that's where it'll need updating. I just want to run it once for now with no trigger. Let's see what RoboRewsty does. He's going to ask his agents what's up, and then it's going to build an example workflow structure that we can review. The reason you want to review the structure first is if the AI gets it completely wrong, why sit there and wait for a generation? Let's just go ahead and approve or reject if it looks like it got some level of rightness done. So this one did look correct. So we went ahead and approved it. And now RoboRewsty is going to start finding the correct actions to build the workflow, and it's going to place them on the canvas. And then you'll see the task transitions come onto the canvas. We're going to fast forward this here. And you can see our completed workflow. One of the cool things is it does get the Jinja in there for you. So if you click on a transition, you can see the Jinja was put in there that was needed for the workflow to run. And you can see a great little output in the agent window as well about what it built. Just a reminder, I cannot see the chat, so if anyone is chatting, come off mute.
I'm answering any questions as they come
Okay.
up here. We're
Okay.
all, talking trash about you too.
I'm sure. All right. This is pretty exciting. It's definitely better, I think, to start here than to start with a blank canvas. We didn't just bolt on AI for marketing. We didn't just adopt AI in our marketing material. We spent time to figure out what is it that we want to build that would actually provide value. And then we did it in a way that would work. There's no way we could do all this with a single agent. We didn't adopt a agent swarm because it was cool in marketing. We adopted it because it was the only way to do it. And so we have a multiple agents here. You have RoboRewsty as our supervisor. We have an action search agent that finds actions needed for whatever you're doing, a workflow flow control agent, a Jinja generator agent, and more as needed. So RoboRewsty becomes more than just a cute pet inside the platform. RoboRewsty has gotten a promotion within the platform. He's now our brain, and I could totally use a brain. So we want to, say we're an intelligent platform versus simply an automation platform. And even that is not marketing. An automation robot is simply rules-based, right? It pre-programmed by people. And then an AI robot is one that's programmed by AI. So it actually is different than an automation platform. There is something missing though. There are a bunch of folks out there working on their own AI brains. So we want to let them be able to plop their AI brain into our software robot body. And the way we do that is through an MCP server. We have an external MCP server that your third-party AI agents can authenticate to. And then you'll be able to assign MCP trigger types to your workflows. So any workflow with an MCP trigger will be discoverable by third-party agents. It does provide it cool things like what are required parameters for this workflow to run. That way your third-party agent can ask for context to provide that workflow with what it needs. And then it can also execute that workflow and provide the parameters to it. Here are our dates. You can start screenshotting now. We did demo this to small groups at Flow to show that it's not just UI mocks. It's something that's actively being worked on. Things to think about is anything that's really Copilot or building for scratch, we're targeting for Q4, and everything else we're targeting for September. I like to do maturity models. So here's my intelligent platform maturity model. First off, I would say Roost was before Flow a level 1, right? Automated processes can use AI. A level 2 is you can use AI somewhat through the app. You're not building anything with it. Maybe you're also using AI to execute workflows from third-party AI providers. And then level 3 starts to look more like what we just demoed. Platform uses AI to build automations. We did not demo platform uses AI to discover things to automate. The cool thing, though, is level 4 is completely aspirational. It's one of the first maturity models where no one's at level 4. And it's kind of exciting to have something to try to move towards as an industry. So looking at the maturity model here, where is Roost? Because it's not a level 2. We do all that in the demos. It's not a level 3 either, because we didn't talk about the platform discovering processes to automate. So is it a 2.5? No, it's a 3. Let's talk about process discovery. And a lot of products would go straight to making this a feature when it doesn't need to be a feature. You could build an automation to discover what to automate. In fact, you folks could rush off this call and manually try to build an automation right now that discovered what to automate in your environment. But let's use AI in RoboRewsty and ask it to do something. I am wondering if we can make an automation that looks at the last 90 days of my tickets and reviews the notes on them, including time, and can tell me what to automate in a nice HTML form. We should use OpenAI to analyze the data. I want to make sure that we're automating time savings. So let's go ahead and run it. Actually, it's going to realize here in a second that I have 2 PSAs configured. And so it's going to ask for clarification. Which one do I want, Freshdesk or Halo? And then it's also going to ask if I want to put this on a schedule to run. It's basically wanting to know if we want to put a cron trigger on it or not. So we'll go ahead and respond. And RoboRewsty is going to start giving us an example workflow of what it wants to build. We'll review the workflow to make sure it looks something resembling what we want, and we'll go ahead and approve it. And now it's going to go start placing the tasks on the screen. We'll likely fast forward it here in a second. All right, that's what our workflow looks like. And this is what the HTML output looks like. It's pretty cool to build this in AI. I do have to warn you, you could probably build this today without the AI functionality. And that's the keynote. And I've been missing all the questions. What have people been saying?
They say they hate it, scrap it, pivot, just things like that.
Pivot. We should. What should we?
Negative time savings and folders seem to be coming up.
Yeah. So Chris spotted something. It has access to our best practices, and so that's why there's error handling, and it may end up building better workflows than we do because it follows our best practices.
Almost.
I'm happy to answer any other questions that anyone has, whether posting them in chat or, whether you open up your mic.
Yeah. If you have any other questions, we can do those now. Otherwise, we do have a few things that we can jump into for the agenda today. Like
The better Daniel with an A has his hand up.
Daniels.
Yeah, I want to know, is this something where we have to bring our own OpenAI subscription, or is this going to be built into our Roost without that?
It will likely start as part of your subscription, but, we will soon implement the ability for you to add your own API key and actually, hopefully, choose the models that you're using. That will kind of open up more possibilities. We can see which models work better, and also save our AWS bill from skyrocketing infinitely.
Yeah, and speaking of AWS bill, our plan right now is not to charge for the AI stuff. And one of the ways that we can not charge for the AI stuff is if you can put in your own AI key for it.
Any other questions?
Like Alden is selling flow coins.
When will people know about whether there's beta? That came up a few times. Will we just be letting, I guess we'll probably just let people know?
Yeah, we likely will at some point want people. We may ping in the coop when we need it.
Yeah, make your checks out to cash.
Someone asked if we're doing any kind of AI research. pizza?
So it depends on what you mean by research, but a lot of this is kind of uncharted ground. You know, I certainly don't have the attention span to write any white papers or anything like that. But you know, we definitely try to innovate on current practices. We're trying to stay on the cutting edge of things. Where we're looking in, well, we currently, like you saw, use MCP, but also we're looking into things like agent to agent. You know, more long running processes, implementing other MCP servers within it. But you know, we definitely want to keep it stable for y'all. It is you know, one thing, but also we are going to be trying to improve it as time goes on. And I don't know if you it was demoed in the actual video, but you do have the ability to like upvote and downvote given messages and leave feedback for us to be able to, you know, improve the model. You know, it's worth mentioning we're not going to train on any data. There would be no benefit for us to train on any data. But I see a couple of questions here in the chat. Can the agent add or modify workflows, or can it only build new ones? It can edit workflows. You know, for example, during one of our presentations for our advisory council, we showed off the ability for it to reorganize a workflow and kind of put the tasks in a more organized fashion that kind of fit the flow, no pun intended, of the actual data better.
Wait, pause there. So this is the very first time that we've demoed this thing in front of a large group of people, and someone asked that question, and Pizza goes, well, I don't know. Let's see. Let's try to reorganize a workflow. And he told it to reorganize a workflow, and it did it.
Yeah, it was able to reposition position tasks, everything like that. It kind of understood, similar to how you guys saw it auto document the workflow, kind of break up the flow of the workflow into those kind of phases. But yeah.
All right, I'm gonna switch up some stuff just to make sure that we've got some time, but let's jump first to our demo that we actually had scheduled. Cory, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Can hear you just fine. Yeah. So Linda told us that you had something really cool that you've been doing with Demo or with Duo. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider it really cool, but I do have something. We use Duo here, and if you don't know what Duo is, it's kind of like a multi-factor authentication app. So it kind of works like the Microsoft Authenticator, but instead of getting a number you type in, you get a push. Then it uses whatever your phone does to let you in as the kind of, you know, allow you to accept it that way. So we have a problem where it has to be installed on customer servers as well, and we have techs obviously who go in and out of these servers. And occasionally we have a lot of techs come and go. And when we have a tech come in, we have to go through 30-something Duo lists and then add them and their phone number and then send them a message so they can accept it. And then it gets added to their Duo app so that they can then access servers. That was obviously taking us a lot of time when we were going through a couple techs, or in this case, we have a remote support. So we have a knock, we have elsewhere, and they kind of cycle techs in and out of our account a lot. So we're spending a lot of time adding and removing users from Duo. So to solve that problem, I just created a workflow that will I'll do it for us. And I'll share my screen and show you the workflow here. It is not pretty. I have not used it. I have not looked at it in quite a while because it works. And if it works, I don't really want to look at it. So first I have to check to see if whether or not, we had a big problem where originally we couldn't really identify the accounts that we needed to go through and check. So we had to do some standardization where each Each account gets Atlas user, or it gets one of the NOC users that we have. Two separate admin accounts for that. And we could also end up limiting the thing permissions for the NOC users, since they don't need to access nearly as much of the text. So we got a couple benefits out of this. So first, we just check to see if the person that we're removing is going to be an Atlas person, or if it's going to be our NOC users or NOC user, whatever you want to call them. Then we just pass through to our check, and then we add the phone if we need to do it, or we remove the phone. This part still needs to be cleaned up here, but if they want to send them the install links, then we send them the install links. If they don't, we just skip through and then just send them the activation links, because if you don't check for this, then they'll get, I think we have 36 accounts, so we'll get 36 install links asking them to install Duo 36 times, and we don't really want that. We just kind of want to do it once, and then if not at all, because sometimes I'll send it manually. And then from there, we add them, and then we send an email report telling them, it got added to all these accounts, got removed from all these accounts, and if any of them failed, which ones failed, so any manual cleanup can be done, hopefully prior to them reporting it to us so we can fix the problem. Yeah. A bunch of sub workflows for this one. The adding one, it's really easy. The Duo API is actually one of the better APIs that I've used. Not a lot of finagling or messing with things. It's really straightforward, just gets all the account phones, checks to see if our phone is already in there. If not, it just fails out instead of just passing for whatever reason. And then if it's not found, we create it. If it's found, then we return a result so that we can add it to our report. And then removing works in the same exact way, except it's deleting, and we don't have to worry about the phone not being there. We just say there isn't there for the logs instead of having to check and error handle that. And then, yeah, that's about all it is for this workflow. I think it saves us about an hour of time per run, and then depending on how many users we have going in and out in a month or X amount of time, they can save us like a dozen or so hours, depending. But yeah, that's all I got. A quick one. It's really easy. I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Cory. Are there any questions?
Are you looking at Roost within Visual Studio Code? Is that how you're looking at it?
No.
You have a workspace and everything. It looks like you're in.
Oh, this is Vivaldi. I have you guys. I've seen too when you guys are sharing. You also have 100 tabs, but this allows me to put my 100 tabs into categorizations.
Thank you. I got confused. This is cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Firefox. I used to use Firefox with something called simple tab groups, but that's kind of like an add-on. It didn't work as well as just being native to the browser.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so now I'm going to jump back in order here. Brooke has a new integration that she wants to showcase for us.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, I'm here to give you all a demo of the new FlexPoint integration. So FlexPoint is a MSP-focused billing, invoicing, and payments platform. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I can walk you through how to configure a workflow and the integration. So we're looking at my screen. Awesome. So in terms of the integration setup, one of the items to call out for FlexPoint is that in order to generate the API key, you'll need to download a Rewst integration certificate. So as you can see in the setup instructions, there's a link to download this. This is also called out in our help documentation. So if you go ahead and download that, I'd already downloaded it. You can then go into FlexPoint to generate that API key. So I've got FlexPoint up and running. So if we go into settings and then we go into the web API, you'll see that there's some existing credentials. And if I wanted to add a new credential. Here is where you can go ahead and upload that certificate. You can create that token. It's going to flash the token, and you can go ahead and copy that to paste that back into the Rewst integration setup. I've already got this good to go, so I'm just going to show you what that looks like in Rewst. So basically here you've got the parameters that are auto-filled in, and you would go ahead and paste in that key. If you click on Save Configuration, we're going to test that out, make sure the auth works, so you can see that's successful. So from there, I can give you a quick demo of a simple workflow I built that creates a customer in FlexPoint and then creates an invoice for that customer. So as you can see, I've added in Acme Dentist Office. I filled in the pertinent information. And then when creating an invoice, this is going to pick up the customer ID that's been generated for that customer. I'll go ahead and increment this. And you'll see there's a couple line items for automation services. And if I go ahead and test that out, it's going to go ahead and create that customer, create that invoice, and then we can go into FlexPoint to check that out. So if we go in to look at customers, we should see Acme Dentist Office. There it is. And you can see there's an open balance of $250 for the invoice that we just created. So that is the FlexPoint integration.
Thank you, Brooke. Anybody have any questions? All right, we are going to switch the sound over to Ray's computer now, and he's going to do some fun GraphQL stuff with us.
I may have switched too early, but oh well. Yeah, let me just fix that now. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thanks, Alden. So apparently Alden can hear me here. I don't know if anyone else can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Brilliant. Okay, so what I want to show off is just how to use some of the GraphQL actions, because more and more organizations are getting access to them through Rewst. And about 2 years ago, I was building some things using the GraphQL actions in an unofficial way, and I wanted to work out how I could build them in a more official way. So let me share my screen, and then we'll go from there. Let me just... So what you will be seeing here is just a demo workflow that I've built out. I've put a whole heap of the different type of graph actions that you can use from Rewst fully built in. So I'll be sharing this out afterwards to give anyone who wants to be using the graph actions the ability to look at how I've built them, how I'm using them, and what I'm doing, right? I've filled in the notes on, well, actually, Pizza's filled in the notes for me with RoboRewsty, but I've got notes on each of the different graph actions to try and make it easier so you can understand what we're trying to achieve here. Before I go too far in it, what I do want to do is just, in case you're unsure what graph action you want to use, or you want to do something that you can do in Rewst, but you don't know what it is you want, what I want to show is just how you can quickly do that. So let's say, if you open up your dev tools and go to the network tab, you want to hit this fetch XHR button. In this example, what I'm going to do is just open up a workflow that's already run. And then from here, I can click on the GraphQL action. And here are the queries that are being sent through the GraphQL API to retrieve the data. So from this thing, I can copy the value. And then if I paste it in the live editor, I now have the commands that are going to be used. So for task log, so if I go back to the workflow itself and look at the task log action, I've got a query, that's task logs. if I go back to the GraphQL payload here, we can see I've done an operation and it's a query option and it's got some variables in it. But using this, I can go here. I can see in this one, this is where the task logs are. So I actually want to copy these details out and then paste them in the response fields here, because this is what I'm asking for. You can go through, and if you don't want updated at, you can remove it, you can add it. It gives you the ability to identify what data you want to bring back. The other bit that's here is I have some variables here. Now, I'm not going to open them here, but in my task logs GraphQL action, and I should actually just bring it up over here as well, but some of you will have seen it, generic GraphQL request action. This is where it is within Roost. But anyway, so in my task logs now, I need to do a search function. So I'm doing where, and you'll see workflow execution ID. If we go back to the value that I've extracted, I can see task logs wants where the workflow execution ID. So this is how you identify what you need to fill out these parameters. You can always, of course, ask the rock for assistance if you get stuck. I am on the rock, so it's one of the things that I do. But anyway, so in this example that I've put together, a really simple thing that happens is sometimes you want to run a workflow, but you don't want it to run multiple times, specifically with the same inputs. So what I'm doing here is I'm using GraphQL action to check, is this workflow already running? If it's not, it will go straight past the on success route. But if I run it a second time, because I've got a delay action over on the right here, it should identify that it's running and terminate. So this is very useful if you've got a form or a webhook where you have specific inputs. And sometimes people click the button twice. You can check, are the inputs that are coming in the exact same as the previous run? So you're not entering dummy data or it's causing issues within anything you plan on doing. But as soon as I get a chance, I'll be cleaning this up a little bit more and sharing this afterwards. But does anyone have any questions? I won't go through all the actions right now because you'll be able to run it yourself, read the notes and take a look at what's here, but happy to answer anything that's coming up. Let me just bring that up because I'm on a single screen.
I do have a question that's pseudo unrelated to exactly what you were showing, but when you share it, can we get that in a crate instead of share it out on Discord?
Possibly. I can talk internally, but to start with, I'll get it out at least on Discord so you've got something straight away so people can use it and take a look at it. But yes, we will look at seeing what I can do to help get a crate together with the team.
Thank you.
Hey Ray, I've also developed some GraphQL queries, and essentially like the task logs and the conductor, basically you're unable to grab that because those query operations are protected. So are those going to be available now?
So if I go back, as far as I know, they are. So let me just present the screen once more, and I'll just go back to my execution history here. So this one, for instance, in my results, here are all the task logs. So they should be available as far as I know for everyone, as long as you're using the native actions here. But yeah, if you're having an issue with that after I share it and still having problems, just contact the rock and I'll take a look at it for you and see what's going on.
Okay, I have an existing ticket number for the issue.
Do you want to, so now is not the time for me to look at this ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Since you've got one existing, I'm on holidays though for about 2 weeks, but let me talk to my team and I'll see who can reach out to you, if that's okay. If you can just post in your Discord channel again, just so we can get that looked at.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
We've got about 5 minutes left, and JP and Clea did have some updates, although not very many. So I'm not sure if we want to speed run through that for a minute. How about we start with JP?
Sure. We mostly this week we had I'll shout out the notes. Mostly just bug fixes and some minor feature enhancements. The what we're working on right now is a series of crates surrounding BitLocker management and documentation. And I think we'll have that out for next week. So that's a up and coming thing that I think is pretty cool. That's really all for me.
Hey, Clea, do you want to send us off?
Yeah, definitely can. I shared the updates page in the chat, but it would not be a Friday without me blasting through some name shout outs. So congrats to Martin, Daniel, Andrew, Dew, Josh, Micah, Titus, Robert, Tim, Paul, and Josiah for passing Roost Foundations and our very own Craig from Roost. Shout outs to Dave, Jonathan, Aston, and Tim for clean automation. Do take a look at what's new at Cluck University in the link that I shared in the chat. We are planning on shutting down some older courses because there is newer, fresher stuff out there. So the recommended resources to use instead are all linked there, but they're going to stay up and live until around July 7th. Give some folks a chance to check out the old courses before they're gone for good. Any feedback, you can let us know in the CluckU Discord or at clucku@roost.io. And a few folks did reach out recently. We know a few people have switched from one MSP to another. It's very easy for us to merge your information so that your certificates and course progress follows you to wherever you are now. So if you have that need, reach out to us as well.
Yay.
There are also a lot of new documentations updated, including the thread automations. There's a dashboard overview page, so plenty of docs to keep everyone busy.
All right. We have a mic on. Can you hear me? We're good?
Yes.
All right.
Still.
That's it. We're done.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming to Flow. I miss you all. Thank you, Ash, for putting this together. I see Jim Barry driving home. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It was nice seeing everybody this week. And we'll talk again next Friday. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
Meow. 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 Meow.